Hello, I'm George Cairns, and in this video lesson I'm going to take you through the colour range command and show you a variety of different ways to approach different colour selection challenges. Here's our start image. You can see we've got lots of different shades of green due to the differences in light and shade, and I'm going to show you how to select some of those shades of green and then change their hue to turn summer into autumn. Before I use colour range, I just want to compare it to the magic wand approach just to show you the advantages of the colour range command. So you could grab the magic wand, you could untick contiguous so it will select similar pixels throughout the image, and then click to sample some of the greens, and then you can't really tell which areas have been selected and which aren't. It's just too busy with this marquee all over the shop. So all I'll do is Control or Command D to deselect that. So we're going to start editing from scratch using the colour range command, and we're using this image here, which is leaves before.jpg. And once this file is open, pop up to select and choose colour range, and up pops the colour range window. And if you click with the little eyedropper here in the image, you'll see a white preview of all the selected pixels in the image, and the black areas are areas that are unselected, so it's very similar to a layer mask in that respect. Now you've got other options as well at the top. You've got sampled colours chosen automatically, but you could try and sample all the yellows in the shot, and you can see there we get this type of selection appearing, or you could go to other colours depending on the type of selection challenge you're facing. You could also try and select highlights as well. You can see the white areas are all the highlights in the image, and if you wanted to reveal detail in the shadows, you could select things like this and then click OK and use a levels adjustment there perhaps to tweak that selected area. But we're interested in the colours of the shot, and we're going to click on sample colours, grab the eyedropper here, and then make sure you've unticked localized colour clusters, otherwise it will only select the pixels that are nearby and connected to the sampled area. But we want greens in all of the shot, so leave this unticked for the moment. Pop fuzziness up to around about 28, let's go up to about 40 to start with, and that makes the tool more sensitive to varying shades of green, which means we'll get more in our selection. So we've made an initial selection by clicking. We can add to the selection with this tool here, and then click and add a varying shade. There's lots of different shades, and you can see there as we keep clicking we're adding these selected areas as white, and the unselected tree trunks are staying nice and black. And if we want to add more varying shades to the selection, we could always increase the fuzziness value, and you'll see the white areas spreading out more, but we don't want to have too many white areas on the actual tree trunks themselves, so 58, 59 should do the trick. We've got quite a small preview window here, but you can select this down here and go to grayscale, and that then gives you a much larger preview in this window here. You can also preview other things like black matte, which will show you unselected areas as black, and everything else that's staying selected will stay the colour that we've sampled. And white matte's also quite handy. You can see the sample colour now as green, but the white areas, the unselected areas, are showing up as white, like so. And you can also use a quick mask option as well. So unselected areas are red, but the selected colours are showing up as our greens. But I quite like using none for the moment and just seeing the actual colours in the image itself, and we're now ready to make a selection based on these colours. So click OK to do that, and you'll see the marquee reappear like so. So the colour range tool gives you a variety of different ways to preview the type of colours and the range of colours that you are going to select with your marquee, so it's more advanced than the magic wand. But now we've made our selection, we're ready to use it as part of an adjustment layers mask, so it will only affect the leaves and not the unselected trees. And to do that, all you do is click here to create a new adjustment layer, and the one we're after is hue saturation. And the cool thing is our selection marquee that we made with the colour range command is automatically converted into a layer mask, so the white areas will help us adjust the colours of the leaves, and the black areas will protect the trees from being changed. So what I'm going to do is click on the mask, click here to get our hue saturation sliders up, and then we're going to drag hue to -50, and that gives us a nice autumnal colour palette to our selected leaves. There you go. Now the colour range command isn't perfect, it's also selected some of the green grass down the bottom here, so we need to protect that from being adjusted by the adjustment layer. So click on the mask, grab the brush tool, set the colour to black, and then just spray over the areas that you want to protect from being adjusted. And we're basically putting black on the mask to stop the grass from being tinted an autumnal red, because it will still stay nice and green, unlike the leaves which are dying on the trees. When it comes to selecting skin tones or portraits, Colour Range has got some other tricks up its sleeve. So open up Skin Tone 01 before and Skin Tone 02 before, and we'll mix them together using some of these other tools in Colour Range. If you go up to select, choose Colour Range, up it pops, and you can see that if we drop down to skin tones, it will try and look for similar warm skin tones, but it's also selecting similar colours in the woman's headscarf because they've got some fairly fleshy tones to those, so that's not really helping too much. You could try ticking Detect Faces, and that's doing a better job, but it's still selecting a lot of the background. So what we'll do is untick this for the moment, pop back up to sampled colours and try a different approach. So let's kick off by setting fuzziness to 50 and ticking localized colour clusters. That gives you more precision about particular areas that you're sampling without sampling too many other areas that have similar tones. And so we can grab this tool here and click to start selecting the face. It also helps if we tick Detect Faces, because that should detect similar skin tones and then create a much whiter selection, which indicates a stronger selection for this particular area of the face. Now that we've selected localized color clusters, we've got this extra range slider to play with, and that basically makes the range grow out from the center of the shot. So if we drag it to the left, it's not selecting the outer areas as much around the edge of the frame. So that's quite a useful way of tweaking the selection. You can then change the fuzziness as well, take that down a wee bit more to make the face nice and strong, but to keep the surrounding areas less part of the selection. If you want to see which areas are going to be transparent on the main image, you can then go here and choose Black Matte, and any black areas are areas that are going to have holes in them, so you can see which areas are going to be visible and which areas are going to disappear. So what we could do is try and click here and then click to select the lips and try and bring those back. If you click on here and drag around there, it constantly samples as you click, and that's a cool way of revealing some of the missing, more transparent areas from the selection, like so. You may then need to tweak the fuzziness to try and make the edge of the frame here less part of the selection. So a little bit of texture though from her clothing is going to look quite cool and help define exactly what she's wearing while we mix it with the background details. Now our colour range selection won't be perfect, but we've got a layer mask that we can create later to fine tune things. So click OK to turn this into a selection marquee, and then I'll show you how to modify that. Okay, it's now making a selection marquee based on our colour range selection, and then we'll click here to add a layer mask to our background layer, and that creates a mask based on our selection to reveal the face but hide everything else. You can then pop to Skin Tone 02 before, Control or Command A, Control or Command C to copy it, and then pop back and choose Control or Command V to paste it in on a new layer, which will drag behind the face like so. We can then click on the mask to modify it, grab the handy brush tool, and if we use a black brush we can then make holes, but if we press X and use a white brush we can restore missing detail like these eyes here for example, and then also the holes in the lips and the mouth. Now there's a wee bit of a horizontal line at the top here in my particular version, so what I'm going to do is choose a black brush but take the opacity down to around about 20% or so, and then click on the mask and then gently spray to soften that line there by making the area around it semi-transparent. That's just a gentle way to blend the visible areas with the transparent. If I hit tab I can get rid of the floating windows and do the same around this section here, and there is our finished composite.